What's going on, people? Finally, we got the merch. We got the merch on. Thank you, Lucy. Lucy, I'll get you one. If you look closely, you can have your page name on it too. So, sorry for the delay, everyone. If you're from the UK, you will know there's a bit of a fuel shortage. Well, there wasn't a fuel shortage, but there is now. So basically, on the media, we was told that we got a shortage of drivers, fuel drivers. So everyone went out, went crazy, bought loads of fuel. Now we've got a shortage of fuel. I mean, I was a mile away from my house and it took me 40 minutes to get home. I literally could have walked it in 5 minutes. Trey, I'm a very nippy guy. They like football studs, if I'm honest. But as normal, we're going to get some people on. Then we're going to go live with Wendigo Exotics. I hope I said it the right way. She's a German breeder. Looking forward to getting her on. Yeah, Lucy, anyone that wants any merch, drop me a message. I'll sort you out. What's going on, Chris? Hope your back's doing well, mate. Also, I've literally just got in from the door from work, so you will see, yeah, I've got paint all over me. But as always, we're going to do a live as normal. We've got some questions. If anyone's got any questions, obviously put them in the comments and we'll try our best to get to them. We were supposed to do this live with Wendigo. I believe it was a week ago. It was the weekend of Donny, the Friday. And it took me 7 hours, I think it was, to get from London to Sheffield, which is normally a 3-hour journey. And we couldn't do the live, which was a shame. So we got her now. Really lovely stuff. I don't know much about gargoyles. I got Cresties, but I wouldn't class myself as a Cresty breeder. So I'd be interested to hear more about gargoyles. I've got some questions of my own. I mean, I look at Wendigos, gargoyles, and they're fire, you know. So really looking forward to it. And while I'm here, I want to say a huge shout out to J5 Geckos. He does a load of caves and stuff, so he sent me a load of stuff over. So little moist hides for young geckos. So that's a little moist hide. Also your normal little caves. He does bigger size ones of these too. Another little cave. Different types of bowls. So you got a bowl here. Your little calcium dish and your water goes in there. We've also got these little bowls. Calcium goes there. These go into a corner of a tub. So the shape, these go right into the corner. We also got bigger bowls. For your adults, these come out, be replaced. And also we got these adult moist caves or lay bins. These got sent all the way over from America. Fantastic. I'm really impressed. These came within a week as well from New York, I believe J5's from. So anyone want any of these sort of products, go to J5. I mean, they're really reasonably priced. Really nice guy. I mean, they came all the way from New York and not one was broken. So, you know, these look, you know, space is the key when it comes to looking after these reptiles. And that's why we have racking systems. So little things like these, little tiny calcium pot, you know, you have to hit him up. J5 Geckos, there'll be a link in the description. We'll get him, he's going to be doing a live actually with us soon. So again, I'll show you again, these little J5 Geckos. So if any of you guys want these, he does bulk orders. I'm pretty sure he has a 3D printer and does them all himself. But honestly, it's little things like this. Like, to get a little moist cave for a gecko is like, it's impossible. So like, just look, for a juvenile, perfect. Absolutely perfect. So shout out to J5. Amazing products. Again, so if you're from America, this is going to be so easy for you to get. If you're from UK or Europe, he can send them, because obviously I've got them. But I'm assuming shipping's going to be a little bit more a little bit more than you expected, so it'll be like £10-15 to get it delivered. Joe entered the chat. He has indeed. He has indeed. So anyway, no further delay. We'll give it another 5 minutes. We'll get Wendigo in. See some amazing stuff. I just want to say thanks to everybody who's been tuning in. I can't say the words. The statistics I've been looking at with my podcast, Spotify and YouTube. Oh, it's crazy numbers. In the last 7 days, we've had 250 downloads just on the Spotify and podcast. Downloads basically means listens. 250 doesn't sound a lot, but to think 250 people have listened to me talk to somebody is mind-blowing. The one we done with Aaron, that's gone crazy. But I love doing it, you know. I love doing it. I've got so many people lined up. I like getting new people on, and I like people having a voice, you know. Like sometimes people feel like they're alone, and it's a good platform for people to get to know one another. This is what it's all about. I love doing it. If it wasn't for you guys, I get some Bubba always giving me support. I've got a huge sponsor list coming, so you know there's loads of things coming, discounts, giveaways. I'm excited. We've got the merch. We'll see what happens. What's going on? I didn't know Wendigo and Joe were best buddies. If you see me go like that, this dog ain't stopped farting. I've bought a new arrival, a new import with me today as well. Because I'm actually not in my facility, or I'm actually in my flat. There's the Crested enclosures. My actual facility is at my parents' house. Because I live in a small flat. J5 just joined. Hey man, I just gave you a huge shout out on your products, man. Amazing, mate. Absolutely amazing. You know, hit J5 up. He's got them to the UK, so like I said, if you put a bulk buy order in, I'm assuming shipping will be a bit more coming to the UK. But you know, like it's the little things, you know, like I said before, space is the key. You know, having that in with our hatchlings is perfect. Tiny little calcium dish. I wasn't expecting to get all the stuff J5 sent me, but he sent me so much. Look how crisp, and what I like about it as well is it's light. So $25 to ship. So that's roughly about £15, about 15 British pounds, which isn't bad at all. So. And I'm getting some more of you, J5. I'm going to want like 100 of these. I'll speak to you after the live. And probably 100 of these and the smaller ones. Because they're just crisp. How they sit in the tub as well. They sit right in the corner out the way. But no further delay. Where'd you buy them, mate? Geckos. You go to J5 Gecko. That's his Instagram. He does leopard geckos. I don't know if he does anything else, but I'm pretty sure he does leopard geckos, and he does all the caves. Again, if you go back on the live, you know, like, these are brilliant. Honestly, they're so light as well. Also, what I'm gassed with is these little ones. These are brilliant. That's such a brilliant idea. You don't see little moist hides or caves for your juvenile geckos. So J5 Geckos, if you need these caves, I can't stress it enough, honestly, they're brilliant. So go and check him out. UK, we can get a big order, you know, it works out in the end. But anyway, no further delay, let's get Wendigo in. So we've got some questions. If you guys got any questions, hit them in. She works with a mixture of reptiles. We're mainly going to be focusing on the gargoyles, the leopard geckos, and the African fat tails. She's from Germany, and from what I hear, she speaks better English than me. So let's no further delay. What's going on, Bubba? Thanks for joining, man. Let's get Wendigo in. So let's do this. Invite. I still get nervous every time I do this. I don't know why. 1 second. Here we go. So I've just sent you a request, Wendigo. Elena, I believe her name is. Hey,
Hi.
how you doing?
Good, good. I'm trying to. Okay. Guess this will work.
We're all set. We're all set. Finally,
Okay,
we're here.
perfect. Yes, yes. I've been looking forward to this like crazy, but I'm also a bit nervous because I've never done this before. But I'm positive that it will be great live.
It'll be really. This is what I like. I really like things like this because when I see your page, for example, I think to myself, not that it matters. I think, damn, she needs a lot more followers than that. She deserves a lot more than that. Like the animals you got, like you can see. Not that anything to do with money's involved, but I can see you've invested
Mm,
a lot, and you clearly
yes.
really enjoy doing what you're doing. And I think she needs more followers. People need to see what she's got. Do you know what I mean? So
Yeah, right. I mean, we texted about it briefly, but I've been on Instagram 4 or 5 years ago when I was doing art mainly, and it was so easy to blow up and to gain a following and stuff like that. And when I decided to get involved with Instagram and present the animals, I thought, okay, this should work if you use hashtags, if you post
yeah.
regularly, but somehow it just doesn't really work, and I'm not really getting behind it yet, but I'm not complaining. I'm very happy with the followers that I have, and it's not the most important thing to me, but I mean it's always great to get some feedback and to see that people do care, because especially in Germany the scene is sometimes a bit difficult, so I don't know, it's just
We've got a
something
question
nice.
for that. There is actually a question which we're asked later. It's like, what is for me? I like to know what the hobby is like everywhere else in the world because of it seems
Oh
like
boy, yeah.
it seems like we're all in the same boat. You know, you do have your people that are very negative, and obviously you do have people that are very positive. But your English is amazing. This is. Every German I've met speak fluent English. Is it something you learn in school?
Yeah, we do, and I study English, but that still doesn't mean that I'm good at it, especially not in situations like this. But in Germany, it's becoming more and more international. So English has a very big impact on many things here, and we are in a phase right now where Germans take a lot of English words in the language and implement them. So it's nearly everyone I know can speak at least the basic kind
Yeah,
of
I
English.
mean, I speak to loads of German breeders like Malt, and he types. I haven't ever spoke to him, but he types perfect English. It's a bonus for me. It saves me not learning any language. Anywhere I go in the world, people know English. You know what I mean, even if it's very limited. So
Mm.
yeah, so good for me. But anyway, what got you into the hobby, Elena? How did it all start? Is it something you've been doing for a long time? Go back to the
Um,
start.
that's quite interesting actually, because I think I've taken a bit of a different route than most people have. Because for me, it was always like, since I was a child, I knew I wanted to work with reptiles, but it was never a possibility because my parents and I, we used to travel a lot. We had a caravan, and it wasn't possible to have any animals besides the dog that you could basically bring. So when I was around 14 and 15, I started to get seriously interested in the whole thing. And from the beginning on, I knew that I wanted to breed them and not just keep them. So eventually, when I turned 18, I talked to a friend and we said, okay, hey, let's try to breed leopard geckos together. And that was the possibility for me to get started, because my parents were a little bit, they didn't really see any value in that. And they were afraid that I would focus too much on it, and that, I don't know, they had a very negative approach towards it in the beginning. And so when I was 18, we started this whole thing and immediately started breeding the leopard geckos, and it worked surprisingly well.
Very easy.
But before that point, I've consumed anything I could find on YouTube, on Instagram, Facebook, whatever. So since I was 14, I basically prepared for this moment. And so we started buying fitting animals. But we did start out with the basic stuff. We totally Eclipse stuff, Tramper, Max Snow stuff, Eclipse. We've been breeding Murphy patternless in the beginnings in different combinations. And it was fun, and it kind of just grew from there. And I mean, looking at me now, I'm doing this at home now. So the friend I started this with and we've separated ways breeding-wise. And now I'm doing this all by myself. I mean, it's fun. It's a lot of work, but it's certainly so much fun.
I don't know whether you're the same as me, but sometimes with leopard geckos, the life we live is very, very stressful, very hard. You know, a lot of us working, got our own issues. Sometimes I find the reptiles are an escape. Like
Yes.
if I feel down, when I go to my reptile room, and you know, a gecko will do something silly like fall over, and then that will just make you day. Are you the same?
Yes, it's I mean, it is sometimes it's stressful, but it's a good kind of stress because it's still something that you love so much. And even if you are cleaning shit for 3 hours, you know, it's it's worth it because you have these animals and stop biting, please. And they are just an escape for you to calm down and get your mind off things because you do not have time to think about anything else when you're doing what you do in the reptile room. And it's helped me through a lot of things because you can always get your mind off of anything. And it's just I wanted to do this ever since I was 14.
Yeah.
Even though I was thinking that I would be breeding ball pythons right now, but I somehow got stuck here.
Good.
And I think
good for us.
Staying here for a while. So yeah, no, it's definitely, I wouldn't trade it for anything else anymore.
Definitely. I can see the love and care you put into it for sure. I don't know, obviously, you know, your situation with you and your friend. I don't know whether your friend grew out of it, but was it something? What I always find is, I know a lot of people in the Crested world do a lot of collabs with each other. So like they'll send a female and whatnot. I always find things like that very difficult because there's always one person that isn't quite happy. For example, if one baby hatches out incredible, who does it go to? Do you know what I mean? So I don't know whether was that the sort of situation you had, or was it just grew out?
And not really. It was just that we've invested the same amount of money into the animals and we've shared it, so it was all our whole thing together. But I think keeping and especially breeding reptiles is a process, and sometimes you just realize, okay, my thing is African fat-tailed geckos, and I love them, and I just want to focus on them. And her thing were New Caledonians.
Right.
So we decided to just do our own projects, so I don't meddle with her stuff, and she doesn't messes with my stuff, basically. So it was just a decision of focusing on what you want and where your priorities are. And I mean, the collab thing you mentioned, I find it difficult as well, especially if you are not friends with the person. Toothless Geckos, who's in the shed here with us, we work together a lot. Like a lot, and we are very, very, very close friends. But in that situation, you just know, okay, which hatchling do you need? Which hatchling might I need? And we know it's not out of the world. We can still trade and work together, and you can just figure it out. But if it's people you aren't close with, I wouldn't do such a thing either.
Yeah, definitely. It makes sense when you're friends as well. You're each other's supporter. So like, if you really need this hatched in, it's yours. You know what I mean, sort of. Exactly. So I definitely appreciate that. So, what other species do you work with other than? Because I know you work with African fat tails, your gargoyles, and your Leos. Is there anything that else you work with that maybe you don't show as often? Like, for example, I wouldn't say I work with them, but I do have morning geckos, but I very, very rarely post them or anything like that. Do you have anything like that you work with that you don't particularly talk about the most?
I do. I'm not really a day gecko person, but I do have Oedura. Okay. I don't know, Australian velvet geckos, I think they are called as a common name. I've just picked them up recently after searching for them for nearly a year. And I've just found one breeding pair and I bought them and now they are mine and I immediately fell in love. So I do have them, but I still need to experiment a bit because there aren't really any information on them. I have tarantulas, which I never really post, which is funny because that's how I got into the hobby of keeping exotic animals. I started with tarantulas and I had 400 before I moved over to geckos, and now I have 2. And I do have tortoises. Those I've had since I've been 10, I think.
Wow.
So they are in our garden all year round. We do have them, and I used to keep a variety of Australian geckos, Nephurus cinctus, the rough-tailed knobtail geckos, Underwoodisaurus millii, that kind of stuff. But I don't know. I love knobtail geckos, but these 2 species just weren't really for me, and there were some issues that just made me decide to step back from them and maybe someday get back into the smooth knobtail geckos, because Levis levis, Levis vertebralis, those, they fascinate me. But yeah, I mean, that's it. I think I have so many species I still want to keep, but I'm not quite there yet because I thought I'd rather work on building my AFT, Leo, Gargoyle, Crested stock up to a point where I'm satisfied with it, and then I can start to increase the amount of species in my care.
Yeah.
What I will receive this year are Eurydaktylodus. I don't know how they are called in the common English.
I'm awful with Latin names. I do know a few.
They are New Caledonians. They are the smaller ones with the yellow mouth.
Oh, I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah, I know.
Right. I will be receiving a pair of those. But that's just like fun projects because I love these animals and I just have fun watching them, and so I will be getting them. And I would like to keep, I'm always thinking about the common names in English. Viper geckos?
Viper geckos?
Yes,
the little, very small one.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. In Germany, people are going crazy for them.
Yeah.
You cannot find these for sale. You cannot. They are just immediately gone. They're so.
The babies are incredibly small as well. Can you keep those in like yeah, you can keep them with a few, can't you? Yeah, they're real nice. We do have a few people over here in UK breeding them, but I don't know whether you noticed, you get like a lot of phases in this hobby. Like everyone will go crazy for Viper geckos, and all of a sudden everyone will go crazy for fat tails. It's just how the hobby is. What is your main projects with fat tails? I know somebody messaged and they said, do you work with any white-out? Is it Zulus?
White-out Zulus. I actually hold my beer.
Oh my god.
So this is a white-out Zulu I've produced this year.
Oh wow.
I don't know if you can see her properly.
She looks amazing.
She's a real sweetheart. She's really, I love that her base color is still very light.
I mean, the fat tails you got, I have never seen. I mean, I've seen loads of fat tail morphs, but your ones look really unique. There was one you posted the other day. It was like a clown. It might have been that one with the clown.
Oh no, I've got that one here also. I can show you later. I have another white-out Zulu I would love to share because I've got her from Toothless Geckos. And it's actually a white-out Oreo Zulu.
Oh my god. That is absolutely stunning. Did you say that was from Toothless Gecko?
Yes. She's got amazing fat tails.
Oh my, wow. They're amazing. What I seem to see what's going on with fat tails is they're becoming more and more like more common almost. But do you see that there's more morphs going to be coming out with that? Because I see them like the new leopard gecko.
It's quite tricky because AFT they don't have the variety of morphs, obviously. And there hasn't been anything new coming out in a long, long while. So the newest thing, I believe, was the ghost.
Mm.
Malte entered the chat. Hi.
Mo.
So I do believe that there's still so much potential for line breeding, but also for new morphs to pop up, and I'm really hoping for it actually. Because this scene just needs some fresh wind and some other projects that are popping up. I believe in Asia someone has bred an amel with 5 bands.
Oh.
And usually we AFT have 3 bands over the back. But
Time will tell.
then we do have this white sock genetic where sometimes randomly the animal has a white foot like piebald, but it doesn't spread and it doesn't seem to have any genetic place. It just randomly pops up and then it doesn't if you pair 2 white sock parents together. So it seems to be in there somehow, but not really trackable. And it's sometimes a bit frustrating. But AFT are just you have the things how they are supposed to go with genetics, but AFT are somehow different. I don't know how to explain it, especially if you look at the Zulus. We've been talking about Zulus. If you breed a head to a head, you should have 25% visual Zulus,
Right.
which isn't the case. Because even though you've paired a recessive female, she will produce way more visual Zulus than she should.
Right. Okay.
But she doesn't. So they are genetically still a bit weird, but I think there's still a lot of potential to be found. Here's a normal Zulu.
Oh wow! Absolutely stunning. Absolutely stunning. You can see the love, and I always say this in my lives. When people show animals, you can see when love's been put into it. Amazing. Do you know the real reason why whiteout is lethal? Is it just the genetic combination just does not work? Like I try and compare it because of I haven't got much experience with African fat tails myself. I do appreciate. I think they're absolutely stunning. But is it sort of similar to lily white? It just doesn't
work. Exactly the same.
Yeah.
It's exactly the same. Like we think that's that it's an incomplete dominant gene, so the super form it just doesn't work. We've had people hatch super white outs out, and they were basically all white with random black blotches here and there, but they weren't viable and they had deformities in the limbs and in the face, and it doesn't work. I think people will still keep trying, same as with Lily White, but I don't think that it will ever really work. It's just not supposed to be as it seems, which is a pity because they would be stunners if they would survive. That's for sure.
Yeah, some things are just not meant to be. I guess it's like with Lily White to Lily White. There's been one that lived. I think it was like a month or 2, and it looked amazing. But it just genetics just said nope, and exactly. They don't live. So there's this. How I see it, it's sort of similar to with other morphs. I know people got different opinions, like lemon frost. I think there's no point. Do you know what I mean? There's just no point breeding it. It's just you're harming the animal. So, like you said, people will try and hope to sort it out themselves, but it's just one of those things. But do you have any other? Is there any other morphs in African fat tail that, for example, white and yellow and leopard geckos do have their can get their neurological difficulties? Do you get that with any other African fat tail morphs or lines?
Luckily not. So we have no true disabilities linked to any morph. but we do have the fertility issues in visual ghost and caramel females. So I don't have any experience with it because I've never owned a visual ghost or caramel female. For one, because I don't want to work with the caramel strain in general. I prefer the amel albino strain. But other breeders have said that basically some suspect that ghost females can lay good eggs, but there is no real proof of that. And ghost females, if they produce, they end up egg bound or they just reabsorb the eggs, so there's really no point. They're just very, very beautiful pet onlys. So those are the only two morphs I don't work with for that exact reason. They still make totally healthy pets and very, very beautiful animals, but they are not suited for breeding, which only affects the females, of course. But other than that, AFT are luckily still quite healthy. The only issue, the only issue you sometimes have is that an underbite pops up. So even if you have two perfectly normal parents, one from America, one from Japan, whatever, they aren't related in any way that you can track. It just sometimes pops up, and that's a bit frustrating because you always try to keep your lines as fresh and as good as possible, but that's just an issue that they have internalized so much that I don't think it's possible to get rid of it entirely.
It's a shame. It's like a lot of lines. It's a lot of these geckos unless we get them from really, really good sources. I know Malt said like your African fat tails are the best. But deep down, these geckos have been bred for so many years. You never know. Like you could have a white and yellow line of leopard gecko, and for 3 years you've never hatched anything with an issue, and then all of a sudden you've hatched one. It's just one of those things we never know. Do you know what I mean? They always be honest with when it comes to breeding. And if you ever see an issue, just say to the person before you buy it, I have noticed this. That's how we develop and advance in this hobby, by being truthful. And things happen, but what can we do? I don't know whether you've seen is it Barry Gardner? Have you seen his African fat tails? How does he get them that orange?
I don't know, but him and Nick from Leco My Geckos, their geckos are just stunning. I mean, that's amel on a whole other level. I mean, in general, in America and in Asia, people are reaching whole other levels than we have here in Europe. So I'm actually looking forward on working more with AFT because I've been noticing more interest in them being shown over time. But the issue is that most people don't even know they exist because they always think they are leopard geckos.
Yeah.
So that's really one of the issues. But Barry and Nick, the animals are just something to dream of.
Yeah, definitely. I think it comes down to a lot of people like that have a lot of space, so they can hold back a lot of stuff, line breed a lot of stuff. Whereas people like us, well, I don't know your situation, but we have issues with space. It's like I have giant leopard geckos, and I haven't got that many of them because of the space they require. They need a bigger tub and stuff like that. So, but his stuff, I see his African fat tails and they just blow my mind. I think, how on earth did you get that orange, Barry?
It's really insane. I agree. It's just every time we see these animals, we're like, how is that even possible?
Yeah.
But with good line breeding.
I bet you're like, I want it.
Yeah.
Golden Exotics has put, what are your plans for 2022 with Crested Geckos? So I never knew you had Crested Geckos. I thought it was just Gargoyle.
Well, the Cresties, I'm still just sliding into the New Caledonian scene here because when I was working with my friend together, she was mainly doing the New Caledonian stuff. Of course, I was saying, okay, yeah, let's buy this, let's pair this. And I was very involved in the whole process, but I didn't have any here at home. And that has just happened recently when we split up the animals.
You missed them. Oh, I wish I kept some.
I really didn't take many from our what do I call it, from our collection, because I wanted to start this myself and buy animals that I really wanted. So as adults, I have, for example, what are you? My male, and he is the most important part in my future plans. So he's an extreme harlequin with portholes.
Oh, very nice.
Focus.
By the way, anyone watching this, if you can never see the true quality of an animal on these live sessions. Go to Wendigo Exotics. It is Wendigo Exotics, ain't it?
Yep.
To check all our animals, but you can get a good example here. But it's absolutely stunning.
So I actually bought him as a tricolor because when he was younger, it still looked like he would go into that direction, but he has developed this very, very strong portholes.
Very nice.
And I'm basically just going to pair him to a pinstripe harlequin and to the lily white female that I will attempt to show you. She's very feisty, so we will try. And basically, my main goal is just to raise up all of my holdbacks and decide where I want to go from there, because I do want to work with lily white. I love lily white, not because it's like one of the more expensive things, but just because the look of it, it's
beautiful. It's so. I'll tell you what. I've got a lily white here. Let me get my. I think I get him out all the time. Let me get my lily out.
Yes, the slim tricolor boy. Tricolor. He is very slim, but he eats well. He's just a long Johnny. Oh wow!
This is my lily. Still got a bit of growing to do, but it's the high whites that come with them. Mm-hmm. I just absolutely love them. But like you said, it isn't to do with because they're the most expensive. Well, not most expensive. You have Xanthic, but they're the more expensive. Oh wow! Oh nice. Oh,
so she's.
I was going to say that would be a nice pairing.
Theoretically, yes. Yes, I said it live just because I knew you would laugh about it. Okay.
Amazing. Looks like she's got like blue eyes.
Baby. Excuse me?
She looks like she has blue eyes.
She does.
Oh.
They are incredibly light gray bluish. So she's proven. I've got a few very nice hatchlings of her. The only thing that I'm a bit bothered about is that she has a couple spots. I'm not really a fan of having spots in them. But what can I do? She's allowed to have them.
She's stunning. She's really nice. And did the spots pass down to the hatchlings too?
Up to now, not. But they can still develop. She's awful. They can still develop. I'm hoping for the majority of them to stay without spots. But I'm just so happy with her. Her crest is really good, and that's a good quality in a lily white, as you probably know. I'm excited to see what she will produce with the male I just showed you. I'm hoping that he will bring in more color.
Uh-oh.
No, she's awful, I told you. She's also biting me regularly.
It's normally the male cresties that can be a bit bitey.
Normally, yes. But she's not my friend, really. She hates me with burning passion. It's alright, though.
What do you find the temperament difference between gargoyles and cresties? Because I was always told that gargoyles can be a little bit more on the aggressive side. I know cresties are more runaway, jump, let's escape. But I was always told gargoyles can be a little bit more, have a bit more of an attitude than your crested gecko.
Theoretically, yes. So my friend, when she breeds gargoyles, and they are so feisty, and they've been the only ones that have really drawn blood on both of us.
Oh, wow.
But my gargoyles, they are so calm. I can just pick them up and handle them, and they are the most relaxed things ever. So I probably jinxed myself now that I've said that.
Oh,
But
no.
I'm really happy with my two little dogs.
Oh, wow. Oh, incredible.
So
Nice
I'm
size too.
yeah, they do. She apparently already laid ducks this season without being paired. Um, so I'm curious. She's about 35 grams now. I think she had when I weighed her last.
Very nice.
And I didn't really plan on getting gargoyles this year, actually, because I've had so much animals to still add to the collection. But when I saw her and the male, I just knew, okay, I have to get these because they are exactly what I wanted. Because while they are very beautiful, the ones with the big red stripes and very much red, they aren't really my thing because it's just too much color.
Yeah.
Like I like to have blotches in there and have a light base color with a bit of black and a bit of red or orange, so that it's balanced
Got you.
in the pattern. So she's exactly what I was looking for.
Oh, she's stunning. Is there any morphs you can get in gargoyles?
Yeah, you basically have the varieties of pattern. So it's not nothing like recessive or dominant, but you do have the reticulated, the blotched, the striped, and then obviously red, blotched, yellow, orange. And what you have is phantom eyes. I think it exists in Cresties too. When after they turn 3 years old, the eyes turn darker.
Right.
And I'm not really that much into it, so
I like I think there's like is it a white gargoyle you have? It's very light or like silvery looking, and it's got very light eyes. I think it was your one I was looking at, but oh, that's incredible, absolutely stunning.
I tried to get out the male because he is very, very light. He's got a very white base color.
Because at the moment in the UK, gargoyles are like a bit of a huge trend at the moment.
Okay.
Everyone's going crazy for gargoyles over here right now. Oh my god, that is absolutely. See, if I got a gargoyle, that would be the gargoyle I'd get. Now that is stunning.
So this is the base color I was talking about. So he could have a bit more of those blotches, in my opinion, but he's a great little guy. So
he's amazing. Wow, stunning, absolutely stunning.
Are there any morphs that don't work together? Gargoyles when pairing them? Not really. It's just a lot of line breeding, and theoretically you can put anything together. But of course, if you put higher reds to higher reds, you will eventually get high reds. And this is very unusual for gargoyles to be this relaxed and chilled. So I really got lucky with them.
They're absolutely stunning. But like what Lucy said and what it is Elena, your name, isn't it?
Alena, yes.
What Elena just said is with Cresties, it's like you can pair anything together. It's like you can put a Harlequin and a pinstripe together, but you're going to get a mixture of Harlequin pins and pinstripes and Harlequins. But a lot of people will pair a Harlequin to a Harlequin to try and get a really good result Harlequin. Mm-hmm. So what Elena has just said with the gargoyles, you can pair them all together, but you're going to get you'd rather pair a red and a red to get a better red and etc. So are these two being paired together?
Yes.
So that would be interesting.
I'm still trying to debate with myself if I want to buy another female or not. I mean, of course, I will buy another female, but the question is if I buy her this year or next year. But I do want to put together a nice little breeding group and just see where it goes. Because actually, I do like gargoyles better than I like Cresties.
You can't say that in front of them.
But
I did.
I mean, I love them both, but I just gargoyles. They look like little alligators, and I love alligators. So it's just
They're so prehistoric. They look so ancient, and they look like a gargoyle. If you look at like,
yeah, they do.
if you look at like a Halloween movie and you see the gargoyle statues, they look like that. So
They do. It's just I don't know. They look so much more feral, and I dig it. But them holding on like this, it really hurts because they have claws. It's much worse than with Cresties.
they're amazing. And there was a question on here actually that said, I've been told to keep gargoyles exactly the same as Cresties. Would you say that's okay?
Yes.
Yeah.
Basically, yes. I don't keep them differently than I keep my Cresties. So the New Caledonians in general, they are so similar.
Yeah.
I mean, I would never house them together, because that is something that some people do with Cresty females, obviously. But gargoyles, they can be so much fierce. So I have a friend who bred them, and the female basically lost all of her scalp during the process, and that was just the normal breeding process.
Ooh.
And so I would never attempt and keep them together.
I did have a pet Chihuahua. I think they're also known as a mossy gecko.
Mm-hmm.
And I regret selling. He was so nice. Have you had any experience with Chihuahuas?
Not yet,
You
but
need to.
I know. I really want them. The thing is with Chihuahua, I'm very specific with what I like. It's the same with Cresties and with gargoyles. With AFT, I like everything basically. And with Leos, okay, I like a lot of things, but with New Caledonians, I'm so specific in what I want and what I like, and there are clearly things that I don't like. And in Chihuahua, have you seen the white-colored ones?
Yes, I have. Yeah, amazing.
Oh.
Yeah, I've got a friend at Leaping Cresties called Luke Tanner, and he's got some of them. I think they're called like high whites or something like that. I'm not too sure, but they got like the white splotches. Oh my god, amazing!
My bank account says no to that, but I really would love to have them one day.
Definitely. So with Cresties and gargoyles, you prefer gargoyles.
I do.
Yeah.
I mean, it's tough to say, but it's just the way they look and the way their color expresses. It's something I prefer a tad more. Let's say a tad.
Yeah, and with gargoyles as well, they're not as common as Cresties too. So you have that sort of, they're not as common. But like you said, what I've noticed with German breeders too, you guys are very specific in what you like. It's like with Molt, he won't, if he wants a tangerine, he won't go like, oh, that one will do. He'll be like, no, that's not the one. It has to be this. It has to be like this. I notice German breeders are very much like that. They're very, I want that, and that is it.
Yeah, it's not a stereotype. I mean, it's true. But I mean, in breeding, it's important, I think, to really focus on what you want, and it's important to select. It doesn't work without selecting the animals you want and you need to further your projects. I mean, probably all of us know the situation where you produce an animal and it doesn't really fit in, but you just love it and you keep it as a pet. I mean, we all have that kind of animal, but you need to select the majority carefully for the attributes that you want.
Definitely. What other, so leopard geckos, because you know me, I'm predominantly leopard geckos. What are your projects with leopard geckos? I know you work with copper leopard geckos. I know you had some white and yellow coppers that you moved on, I believe. So yeah, what projects do you work with leopard geckos? Do you have a small collection? Because I know you mentioned at the start that it was something you wanted to start off with, or it was something you started with. So it'd be interesting to know where you're at with leopard geckos.
Right now, it's a bit of a tricky spot because I've been starting with the tangerines just this year. and I've been working primarily with total eclipse, super snows, pites, blizzard combinations. And I've always liked tangerines, but I used to say that I prefer putting recessives and dominants together instead of having line bred traits. But now that I've gotten into it, beautiful.
Oh, on the run.
Done. So I started the whole tangerine thing with buying from DC Geckos.
Dave Rich,
So
really good friend of mine. Oh yeah, you got the best of the best then.
I wanted to start with something good so I could just improve the line into a direction that I wanted from there on. I do have my favorite holdback from the copper pairing here, and she's basically what I want to go with. So she has this extremely chill, please, high coverage of orange.
Oh, very nice. Very.
And
incredible. Great example. Because what I like about coppers as well is they keep that, well, majority of them keep that band in, what you see on the back, that like almost that grey patterning. I absolutely love it. But she's really, really nice. Really nice.
So I have two holdbacks like this. And I will also get a nice Sungler female from Malta soon to just add into the project. And it's really fun to work with tangerines, actually. I didn't think that it would be that much fun. I've also bought a couple of tangerine trampers from the Mandarin line.
Very nice.
Here's the male.
Oh, nice.
They look a bit lighter on camera right now than they are. They're more orangish.
Stunning. I can imagine because I've been working with leopard geckos predominantly. I know that's fire in person. That's a really,
it is.
Yeah. Again, if you make sure you follow her page, she's got some absolutely incredible stuff. Malte, finally some leopard geckos. I was waiting for you to say that. I was waiting. Where's the real geckos at?
Yeah, we're getting there.
we are getting.
So, when I've produced some white and yellow coppers as well, which I didn't intend to do, but I ended up having a white and yellow in the group. And I must say, I have produced some really beautiful ones, even though I never wanted to work with white and yellow because of, the possibility of the issue coming up.
Yeah.
So I'm selling all of them because it's just something I always said I don't want to work with, and I'm sticking to that. But they are just, undeniably.
They're amazing, aren't they? The color enhancer is incredible. I was going to ask you that question. How comes was you moving the white and yellows? Is it just something you don't want to breed something that could potentially go wrong?
Yeah, exactly. It's something I've always said. If it's about the spider genetic in ball python or the champagne, or if it's white and yellow or enigma or anything else, I know that the chances are quite low in white and yellow, but it's just something I don't want to risk. I don't want to risk having an animal that I like and I hold back, and eventually it produces animals that are sick, or I don't want to sell an animal that potentially can have that issue. Not when, you always end up hatching animals that don't make it or that have a defect in any way, and that's already enough for me.
Yeah, that tells a lot about you as a breeder as well. Is just, you don't want, even though the odds are low, I don't want to be involved in anything that could go wrong. And especially, I'm assuming you're very proud. So if you do sell an offspring, because at the end of the day, we all see them as pets. So when you do sell an offspring, and if everything was fine, and the customer came back and was like, there seems to be a bit of a wobble because it can happen through transit, and you know you might buy a gecko and stress can cause it. So I can imagine you as a person that would really affect you. That you've, do you know what I
Yes.
mean? So I mean it says a lot about you as a breeder for sure.
The thing is, I've had the situation when I've been breeding Parvoedura picta. They are an Australian species with quite a big head. And we've bought breeder animals and they've produced offspring that turned out that they have epilepsy.
Oh, right, okay.
So whenever you would spray them, it would trigger them and they would cramp. And it was really, really horrible. And especially, the most horrible thing about it was that we've sold offspring to someone. And the person texted me one morning and said, hey, the animals are just dead or they're cramping. And I was so taken aback from that because I didn't know it at this point. And when I figured it out, I stopped the whole breeding process. The hatchlings, they basically were all affected. So they eventually had to be put out in misery. And the parents, they live as pet onlys. And it's just something you don't want to trigger or you don't want to take any chances with.
Yeah.
It's just, I mean, I do not judge any people who work with white and yellow or spider or whatever, because it's everyone's own decision to do so, but I don't want it for myself.
Yeah, it shows a lot about yourself for sure. This is why these lives are good, so people can understand what Elena's actually like. She's, you can tell she's an amazing breeder already. Yeah. I mean, I believe it or not, I'm actually reducing what I do with white and yellow drastically because of, especially with this year, for some reason, there's been a lot of issues with white and yellow. I don't know whether because we're such a small country within the UK, I don't know whether because all our lines are mixed in one way or another. So that's why I've been really focusing on importing recently, because then it's fresh blood for me. So I've been reducing my white and yellows drastically. When it comes to Enigma and Lemon Frost, I do have a strong opinion because I just think you're making these poor animals suffer. That's how I see it. You hear people that say, you know, I've got a clean line of Enigma, or I've been working with Lemon Frost for 5 years and I've never had a tumour. It's going to happen. How I see it is the people that made this morph, if there was a way to resolve it, they would have resolved it. And I just think, stop it.
And I mean, if you see multiple big breeders publicly saying, hey, we are stopping the breeding of Lemon Frost, we're giving them away as pet onlys, if they haven't managed and if they give up on that and accept that it's not possible, then why? I mean, it's mainly smaller breeders that keep breeding Lemon Frost, especially here in Germany. On the portals where you can still sell geckos, you always see Lemon Frost hatchlings from this season, Lemon Frost females, where they put in the description that they are actually suitable for breeding. You just sit there and
I know.
Like, how can you say that? How can you imply to someone who maybe doesn't even know about this that it's okay to put this animal in a breeding group and have it produce?
Definitely, I totally agree. I mean, they've been popping up in a lot of reptile shops here in the UK at the moment. So I actually run a Facebook group on. I know Facebook is terrible, but we got a Facebook group, and time and time again we're seeing people that have bought and accidentally bought a Lemon Frost, and we've noticed a big lump on its head. So it's a spiral, you know. These people. A lot of people that buy their first leopard gecko from a pet shop, believe it or not, will eventually buy another one. So it's bad that that's their first experience. You know what I mean? So Malt had 8 Lemon Frosts from first generations, all died till now. Exactly.
Self-explanatory, basically, yes.
Exactly. So what is the hobby like within Germany, Elena? Now you've got to be very careful. What is it like over there? I mean, in the UK, there's like two sides. You have like one group and another group. Is it similar? It seems like everybody's in the same boat.
Yeah, it is very similar. I mean, you have very strong opinions and a lot of different groups of people with different morals and values and different opinions, and they voice them very strongly. And in Germany, it's, I mean, I suppose it's like that worldwide, but if someone says, I don't know, I keep my hatchlings separately, and someone says, no, I keep them in groups of 20, and then they collide, and it immediately gets ugly. So
Okay.
I do prefer the British or the American or Asian scene a bit more because people are more open-minded and somehow easier to talk to.
Yeah.
There are a lot of great people in Germany and a lot of friends I've made through the hobby and people that are like-minded and that you can talk to. But it's also that you always have a lot of jealous people. But as already said, you have that in every country, in every scene, in every community, where you need to take care of what you say and how you present yourself, and jealous people will easily turn to backstab you and stuff like that, but it's like that in every country, in every scene. The majority of people I've worked with are very nice. But I mean, like everyone else, I've made my fair share of bad experiences with people that I thought were nice and legit. But I suppose it's a common experience.
Yeah, definitely.
That you just need to make your own opinions about people.
100%. That is absolutely perfect way of putting it. Make your own judgment on somebody. There's so many things you hear like, because you bought a gecko from that breeder, therefore I will never speak to you again. It's like,
that's stupid.
You know,
because
do you know what I mean? So I think we all deal with it. What I do like about German breeders is you know where you stand with a German. So if they don't like you, they will say to you, "We don't like you." Where
now you will notice it.
yeah, they won't
know
your message. I mean, in the UK, you get a lot of people that are like, "Oh, I love you, I love you." As soon as you turn in the back. German hobby scene is crazy. All talking they do that, and in the background doing the other way and laugh about you. Yeah, I think we all do. I know cultures are different, but I think we all go through the same stuff. It always happen whether you. If you was a footballer, you know you're going to get stuff. It's what happens in hobbies. We're all very, very passionate in what we do. So when someone does say something, it's like, do you know what I mean? It's like if someone says something about my dog, it would really upset me. So I think it's sort of similar to that. But you just gotta let it go over your head, because sometimes if you say something, it can be a big problem. And
I think like the German scene or the German community regarding reptiles just needs to still learn to accept other opinions and other ways of dealing with things instead of just bashing the people because they don't agree with them. So this acceptance, just because you do things differently or because you, I don't know, you keep your ball python in a rack and I keep it in a terrarium, you still can respect each other and be nice to each other. It doesn't mean that you need to like backstab and say this person is a shitty person because the ball python lives in a rack. That's nonsense.
yeah,
and we can talk. We are mostly adults, and there still needs to be this basic level of respect that. But in Germany, it goes overboard as soon as it's about animals.
yeah.
And there is no respect for each other if you don't agree with the value that the other person has. It's crazy.
It is a shame. There's so many new people that come into this hobby. You probably know as well that you know they come in, they buy, they do. When we all start, we do things wrong. We do things incorrectly. It's just you learn along the way, and a lot of people newcomers get absolutely bashed, and then they disappear because of I mean, there's been so many. I know it sounds silly. There's been so many times when I first started this hobby, like I'll put a post up and someone will say something. It'll make me feel like crying. I know it sounds really silly, but it makes me feel like, oh, do you know what I mean? Especially on Facebook, it's like, oh, everyone's seen that. I just think
on Facebook, all you can do is just post your pictures and shut up about everything else, basically. If you don't want to be bashed.
Perfect way to put it. We got a question there actually. This is something you could probably answer. Someone's put, I'm having difficulties sexing my gargoyles. Are they similar to Crested, or are they a bit different?
No, you can. In regards of the setup.
No, the sexing, as in to tell whether they're male or female.
Yeah, they are absolutely similar. So in New Caledonians, it's generally a bit tricky, I think,
Yeah.
because of the pores and pseudo pores. But it's the same with Cresties, yes.
Yeah, I agree. And with me, I normally grow them out a little bit, and then the males are quite obvious. Yeah, I'm not going to go
Yeah,
into details. They're quite obvious.
I'll do it just like that. With my whole family.
We've got a really interesting question here. This is something I feel like I don't have enough experience, but I feel like anyway. Do you think keeping a female and male in separate enclosures but next to each other increases pathogenic babies? I'd say yeah, but I haven't experienced a pathogenic baby
Um,
myself.
I haven't experienced it yet either. Um, I'm not really sure because it generally happens so rarely, and so many people keep their animals next to each other in their rooms, if
Yeah,
it's in boxes or terrariums, it doesn't really matter. But I think if it would really have an effect on that and would, you know, push this pathogenesis, I don't know how to pronounce it in English,
pathogenic.
pathogenic, then more people would do it, or it would be a more general census now that it would work. So I don't think that it
Yeah,
has that much effect on them.
I agree. It'd be
I mean,
interesting to see if you had like a room of males and a room of females, and you took a few like 5 females, put them in the room with the males, and see if because of the
yeah.
scent, to see if. But again, I've never had a pathogenic baby, so
I mean, there are some people who think that this causes dots in leopard geckos if you keep them in the same room as males, that they just start ovulating and laying eggs. But I don't think that it has that much of an effect on them, to be
yeah,
honest.
I definitely agree with you. Someone's asked us, "What is your favourite sticky thing?" You've probably already got it out. Was it the red one? Would you say the red garg? Look at the smile. Yeah.
Yeah. No, that it's just that this animal is what I wanted, and she will die with me. She's one of the very few where I know she will stay here till she passes, because I mean she's so calm too. It's so unusual. It's so
Probably
so
built bonds
unusual.
with her as well, and all people don't understand. People that don't have reptiles don't understand that they all have their own personality. Look, it's like a dog.
Yes,
It's like
and
me with Pablo.
it's so nice having a gargoyle that you can take out and who isn't stressed every second that she's out. Like you can handle her and it has not that much effect on her. Of course, it is stress that she's being handled and in an environment that's unfamiliar, but she stays calm. She isn't stressy. She doesn't pee or poo on me.
Yeah,
She's
she looks like she's having a good time. If I'm honest,
yeah, just hanging out.
she's
No,
incredible.
she's really great.
Sometimes you come across those one of a kind geckos, and I think you've got one there for sure.
Yeah, I do.
And I feel I can already see there's a bond there. She's a
I just I never thought that I would fall in love with New Caledonians as much as I do now, but still my favorite species will always be African fattails. It's just
yeah.
I always say to Angela from Toothless Geckos that if I would have to choose one species to keep and breed for the rest of my life, of course it would be African fattails. But that doesn't mean that I don't have passion for any of the other species.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Yeah, you're African fat. If I ever get an African fat tail, it'll be from you for sure. There are.
I still have one AFT I need to show Joe in a bit.
Oh yeah, I think I know what one it's gonna be. Joe's got building up a fantastic collection as well now. Old.
Yeah, I'm getting scared, actually. No, we have this friendly banter going on with the Oreo patterners that he purchased, which I wanted to purchase very badly, but my bank account said no at the time, and he jumped on the possibility,
Is that
on the chance,
was
and took it.
is that the one from Rex and Fat? Oh my god.
Yes. So this is an Oreo patterners as well, but it's a male, and he's striped.
Oh wow.
He's got this very light, eccentric Oreo.
Oh, that is absolutely. I love striped Leos, so that for me would be a dream fat tail.
It's funny because I prefer them without. Actually,
Really? No
yes.
way.
I mean, with Patronus, I prefer them without, and with Zulu, I prefer them without as well. But I mean, with Amel as well, and with Oreo, probably I prefer them without stripe. But it's I have 1.2 Oreo patties now, so Angela and I've been working on getting there, and they are all striped. So
I love this. They look so clean. They just look so
yeah,
clean.
but Joe has such a pretty one without a stripe.
Yeah, he does. He does. I think I actually, because I used to run a reptile courier service in the UK, and I actually delivered that one to Joe. It was almost like jet black when it first arrived. But
Yeah.
there's a question here actually. Now we'll talk about. Someone's put, can you get a jet black AFT?
Probably yes.
Yeah.
I think it would be a similar process to getting two Black Knights. So you would always have to take the darkest animals and cross them and breed them together, and just it would be years worth of breeding. But it would be possible. The thing is, you can see it in Joe's Oreo patterns actually, that as they age, they tend to get lighter. So you end up having a medium gray animal. But for example, in France, Julie from Gecko Maniacs, she has very, very light Oreo patterns. So it is possible to push them into the directions. It's just a lot of work.
Yeah, I think I saw quite a very dark. I think it might have been your page actually. It was a young gecko.
It was Angela's probably, because she has a very, very black Oreo patterns, and she has stayed that way up to now. So we are very excited to see how she will develop, and I'm very jealous of that animal. But no, that one is jet black.
Yeah.
Till now.
Are we going to call it the Black Knight Patronus? the fat tail, sorry. We can stick a few thousand on that as well. Oh, they're absolutely stunning. I need to work with fat tails. I mean, I think personally, my next gecko will probably be Angramonu. I love big geckos. They're huge. I think that will be my next. But like yourself, I don't ever want to rush into something, because the last thing I want to do is get something and not be, even though I'm caring for it, not be 100% in my head. Do you know what I mean with that animal? Because of it does show you will like lack in care and stuff like that. So
yeah.
I always overthink things when I get animals. I always want to make sure that this animal could potentially be here forever. So. And I think you're very similar as well. Someone's put, can I keep African fat tails in a leopard gecko rack? Keep it completely the same?
Yes, you can. And it's actually with AFTs, there also isn't so much good advice out on the internet. So a lot of information are plainly either wrong or very, very old, similar as the suggestion of keeping male and female leopard geckos together. That kind of bad information. So you can keep AFT in a rack very, very easily, because they do prefer smaller spaces actually. So they do thrive in racks.
Right.
Okay. I've been working a lot. I mean, I've been keeping them for 3 years now, and I've started with wild caught and F1 animals. And I've tried everything with domesticated and wild caught animals, from terrariums to big rack boxes to medium to smaller rack boxes. And they do really develop better in smaller, securer places. So I know many people do not like to hear that, but it is that way.
Yeah.
So if you decide to keep them in a terrarium, don't choose one that's too big, and make it really clustered, because they need this sense of security.
We're lucky really with African fat tails and leopard geckos. It's like I had a question on my last live. It was like rack versus vivarium, and I said personally, in my hobby, in your hobby with African fat tails and leopard geckos, we're very, very lucky that these animals actually thrive very, very well in racking systems. I mean, you can go the extra mile and have some fake plants in there and stuff like that. But like you said, with African fat tails, they like to keep it small space. I see when I did have a pet African fat tails, and it seemed to really like to dig. Is this something else you've seen? Because I know there's a friend of mine at Gecko Park. He has a few African fat tails, and he actually has a substrate in his tubs as opposed to kitchen roll.
I do too.
His ones were always digging.
I mean, it's okay with mine. They don't dig too much. I have some on towel because they are still too small, and I have some on substrate. They don't really dig unless I put in a wet box or especially an egg laying box with very smooth kind of bedding, like softer ground. Then they like to dig, but it's not as extreme with mine, luckily, because it would be a mess.
Oh, don't. I always get that one leopard gecko. It's normally the males that throw the dirt everywhere.
All three of my males, it's horrible. The females are all good, but the males, horrible.
The male leopard geckos are crazy, I tell you. But has anyone else got any questions for us before we probably wrap it up for the day? Has anyone got any questions for Elena? Anything to do with African fat tails? I mean, I wish I could give her more questions, but I know very little with very little with African fat tail.
I could show you another species I'm working
Oh,
with.
please do.
If I manage to without getting screamed at, that is.
Oh, is that Fiscus? Fuscus?
Yes.
Very nice. Oh, stunning.
So Angela from Toothless Geckos and I, we are actually hoping to produce these next season for the first time.
Incredible.
And it's just, this is also, I mean, there's still so much potential in my opinion because we do not have any morphs there yet.
Yeah.
And we, with the hard wiki ones, we have this one stripe.
Yeah.
That's existing now.
For mutant geckos.
Yeah,
I got him on. He should be coming on a live Saturday, but
oh, nice.
Yeah, so tune in.
So there's still so much you can do. Basically, there's still. I can't imagine that there won't be anything new popping up with these guys because they are Orbelfaris as well. So why shouldn't there be more genetics and more morphs coming in at some point?
Definitely. I saw a post the other day. It was like, I don't know whether it is. Do you know some people try to make names on something when there isn't, shouldn't be. I saw something about a high white fuscus, and do you know they had the black bandings and then the white band? The white bands were more predominantly crossing over in the body, so. We could see it could be someone's been line breeding, but that's what I like with things like Fuscus and hard wikis. You have the opportunity of making something new. That's something us breeders really, not something we want to like, oh, I want to make something new, but it's a bonus. Imagine you made a new morph in Gargoyle.
Like,
exactly.
Just have something pop up and prove it out, and that would be amazing.
Absolutely.
I mean, with the AFT, I'm just hoping for it because there are still some peculiar things going on here and there, and there's so much to still do and figure out. Like this is a whiteout 0, and 0 and Stinger are just pattern variations of head patternless. So having these visual indicators for a recessive morph, which is sometimes prominent, but not always. Not all head patternless are 0s or Stingers. So how does it work? Like, what is the background of that happening?
Yeah,
it's just so interesting to me to work with all of these different kinds of genetics and animals. And
I definitely think African fat tails. Like, if I think in 10 years' time, I do think African fat tails there'll be a lot. I'll definitely be a lot more. I've got another question for you actually, because of. Has anyone crossed a leopard gecko into an African fat tail? I can just imagine it not working.
Not that I know of. So I imagine that plenty of people probably tried.
Yeah.
But I mean, they are Hemiticonics and Leos are Orbelfaris, so they are. I mean, I always describe them as very different from Leopard geckos. So they are, in my opinion, they aren't similar. So I couldn't say, yeah, they are like Leopard geckos. I can't imagine seeing it work. I wouldn't try it, but probably I mean, some people will have tried it already.
Yeah, definitely. They are different. It's like what I like with African fat tails as well. Their hands are so small.
Yeah, the very end, and their bellies are so soft, and they are just softer in general,
Yeah, yeah.
softer and more compact. And I mean, in Asia, they are currently like the reptile.
Mm.
Screwball pythons, they love AFTs, and I've actually exported AFTs to Japan this year, and it was I was very honored that I could do this and that someone put their trust in me to do this, because this is my very first season where it actually worked to produce AFT, and it couldn't have worked any better.
Yeah.
So it's just
You got animals in Japan. Just that thought.
I got animals in Japan without ever me being in Japan. It's just such a weird concept.
And similar to Germans, Japan are very, very particular in what they work with. So they must have seen some great stuff from yours, and that's amazing. I'd love to even for me to think, oh, one day someone in Japan could have a leopard gecko. That's what you must be amazed. You must think right now I've got a gecko in Japan.
It was such a weird process because you've always been thinking like, why would they choose me? Because as you know, my following isn't big, and they are way bigger breeders. And he still wanted to work with me and with Angela also. And I'm very glad that we made it work, because it's just such a weird concept.
Yeah, definitely.
To have animals basically over the world now, but
you're doing something right. I mean, it's a lot of the time the breeders with not the most following are the better ones. It's like DC Geckos. He has like 800 followers on Instagram, but in the UK he's known as one of the top. He's been in the game for 12 years, and he's been in the top for such a long time. So always never look at a breeder's account. This is just my advice to everybody. Don't ever look at an account and just because it's got 10,000 followers, don't assume that going to be amazing. Do your research, get talking to people, and sometimes I've been told, oh, you need go and ask him for a gecko. His geckos are really good, and he might only have 200 followers, so it's not always bad. But it is nice knowing I've got 1,000 people looking at my stuff, so it's always the bonus to it. But has anyone got any questions before we wrap it up today? Is there anything else you want to show, Elena, before we go?
I only have patties left here.
I don't want anyone to be left out.
So this is basically just the very plain and normal patternness with a stripe.
Very nice.
Yeah, and
I love the stripe.
She's supposed to be head free, so I could do whatever I would want to cross her in.
Amazing.
Patty is my absolute favorite morph.
So I actually have another question for you. Actually, do you know you get with African fat tails? Do you know you get your normals that have the brown banding? You also get a normal with a stripe. Are they different or are they the same? So can you hatch out? So if you had two striped normals, would they throw out all striped babies? Because that's all. I always find it difficult. When I go to the shows, I'll see normal African fat tail and I'll see another normal African fat tail and it will have a stripe. Is there a difference genetically, or is it just a random mutation that can happen?
So basically the stripe, we understand it as dominant. So if you breed a stripe to a banded, you basically are supposed to get 50-50.
Okay.
Of each. But Angela and we actually had a pairing with 2 striped parents, and they've thrown like 3 bandits.
Right.
So they still produce the banded variant, and I don't know if it works the other way around as well. If you breed 2 bandits, if they ever can breed or produce a striped one, but what they can produce is an aberrant one.
Right. Okay.
So we have this other form of pattern, but striped maybe produces 90-95% striped and 5-10% random bandits in there.
Okay, it's sort of similar to like a Max Snow, how that sort of works, like almost like a code dom Like majority of them are gonna, if you put a stripe and stripe together, majority are going to be stripes, but you do have the small chance of hatching, you know, a banded. But anyway, Elena, thank you so much for coming on today. Do you want to let everybody know where to find you? I know you're venting at a show soon, ain't you?
Yeah, Angela and I, it will be our first time vending ever. I wanted to vend last year, but it wasn't possible because of COVID. So we will be at the Bremen Expo in Germany. It will be a small expo, but I'm so excited for it, to just get out there and have this experience. I'm also on Facebook as Wendigo Exotics, and I'm mainly active here on Instagram, where you can find me. So if there are any questions regarding any kind of animals, I'm basically always online and always there to answer. And thank you for having me. It was a lot of fun.
Thank you very much for coming on. You're our first German we've had on, so and it's
I'm honored.
Yeah, it's been amazing, and I can see the quality in your animals. It's been really nice to talk. I can see the passion. But yeah, everybody, make sure you give her a follow. A lot of the listeners we get come on podcasts and Spotify as well. So anybody listening to this right now, if you want to watch the YouTube version, there's a link in my bio. But please, everybody, give Wendigo Exotics a follow. She's got outstanding animals. I mean, she's only shown us probably 2% of what she's got. Probably not even 2%, probably 1%. So if you want to see the gargoyle she's posted, be sure to check her page there. On her Instagram, you get to see them better. They're amazing. And she's, every time I spoke to her on Instagram, she's been nothing but nice. So even if you've got a random question, I'm pretty sure she'll answer you. Anyway, see you later, everybody. Thank you so much, Elena. We're definitely going to keep talking anyway.
We will. And thanks for everyone who asked questions. I really had a blast. And I'm just amazed that it went so well. So
we'll have to get you on again.
I would love to. Give me a few months, and maybe I will have some.
Definitely. We'll do a duo with your friend.
Yeah, Angela.
She's probably like, no. Anyway, thank you very much, Elena. Thank you everybody for tuning in. Be sure to hit her page. Link will be in the description. Thanks everybody. Thanks, Elena.
Thank you.
See you later.